Hey y'all, welcome back to Adventuring with Amanda. Thank you so much for being here. If you are new to my channel, welcome. In today's video, I am answering your questions about Quartzsite. I have been creating a lot of informative content about Quartzsite and the area recently. I have a specific Quartzsite playlist that is in the description of this video. But in the last week, I have gathered questions from you all from my Facebook group, my community page about Quartzsite. So I can't get to all of them, but I am answering the most popular questions as well as the ones that I think are most crucial for everybody to know. So I wrote down the questions in my handy dandy notebook here. And we're just going to jump right in. So be sure to give this video a thumbs up. That helps me out a lot. Okay. So issues with coyotes, snakes, and scorpions. Those are the questions I get asked the most. As far as coyotes, I saw one last season, but it ran in a distance from my van, and we have never been bothered by coyotes. Coyotes are generally afraid of humans, but I have heard of them being in the more populated places of Quartzsite, like at the LTVAs, which is kind of shocking. You'd think they'd be away from the people, but they're looking for food. So at the places I camp, there aren't a lot of people around. I camp away from the crowds in very quiet places. And I've only seen the one coyote so far. So it's just kind of weird, but they tend to be more active where the crowds are more active. Snakes, sorry, I'm still a little bit congested. Snakes and scorpions go away for the winter. They have been kind of out and about these last few weeks because it's been warmer, like around 90 degrees, but in the winter, you won't see them. You might see scorpions, like if you use a black light at night, but they are also afraid of humans. I've been stung by a scorpion. Wynston's been stung by a scorpion, but it wasn't out in the desert. It was actually at my house. So again, non-issues really. They can be avoided, like they'll be hanging out like near the bushes, in the washes, if they are there looking for shade, especially the snakes. But again, winter is when those animals or those creatures are the least active. So it's not something I really ever worry about. I've been in Arizona for 25 years, and the only issues I've personally had with coyotes and scorpions are literally at my house in the suburbs. So that's just my kind of thought process in 2 cents. Although, of course, like with Wynston, he has his playpen. I'm always keeping my eyes on him. And when we are at the LTVAs with friends for like a night or two, I have a big, like a gate so I can keep Wynston in one specific area so he's not wandering around. Do I know of places with hookups? So Quartzsite is known for its BLM land, which is like a boondocking paradise. So most people out in Quartzsite boondock, but there are RV parks with hookups. I am not very familiar with all of them, but I do know that if you want a spot, I would recommend reserving it far in advance because Quartzsite gets busy, packed, and I highly doubt you'd be able to just drive into a park and get a place with hookups in like December or January, even February. They're going to be hard to find. So reserve ASAP at one of the parks, and they are all in town. So you will have a much busier, chaotic experience if you are at one of the RV parks in town in Quartzsite because it is so small. And like I said, it gets chaotic. How early do the shops open and what is the best time to shop? So it depends on where you're going. I mean, there are like normal stores like Family Dollar and Dollar General, that open at like regular business hours. The tents at Tyson Wells, the small business vendors, they all kind of open at different times, kind of like whenever. I had somebody ask if they could go shopping at like 6 a.m., and that's not going to happen. They're just not open that early. But the best times to shop, I would say, are on weekdays, late morning, 10 to 11, kind of before the lunch rush, and then maybe mid-afternoon. But I like to do all of my shopping on the weekdays in the late morning. Are there motels for people who aren't camping or boondocking or have a rig? And the answer is yes. I think there are 2 motels. I know there's like a Super 8, and I think there might be one next to it, but very limited options. They're great for people who are traveling through, or if you just want to check out Quartzsite and you don't have a rig, you can definitely stay. So there are motel options, and there are actually really nice hotels and a lot more options 20 minutes from Quartzsite in Blythe, just over the California border. For dumpsters, there are big dumpsters at the long-term visitor areas. I tend to use the dumpsters behind the McDonald's on Main Street because there's like 6 dumpsters there. I believe there's also a dumpster at the park across the street from the library, and then there's a transfer station north on the 95. You can literally show up with your rig and dump all of your trash there as well. I know Maddie likes to use that transfer station, so I don't have a ton of trash typically, so I just go to the McDonald's dumpsters, or if I'm staying at a long-term visitor area, I will dump my trash there. In terms of receiving mail, I get a lot of questions on this, but to be honest with you guys, I don't really know a lot about that because my home base is literally 90 minutes away from Quartzsite, so I receive all my mail there. I know there have been some issues with the mail services in Quartzsite and like with turnover and places closing and having weird hours, like they're only open 10 to 2 and they can't handle it. There is a post office, like a USPS, in Quartzsite on Main Street, about 10 minutes away, 10, 15 minutes away from the BLM camping locations, but you can't receive mail there, I believe. So you have to go to one of the other spots. But I am welcoming anybody who knows about receiving mail in Quartzsite to drop that information in the comments, because I know that it's very important for a lot of people. I'm just not personally educated on it. And like even like with Maddie, I just have him like send stuff to my house. So I hope that somebody else watching this video can comment on how they receive mail in Quartzsite and what has worked for them. How well does the internet work, and does it get bogged down? I have Verizon. Verizon is the best cell service on the West Coast out here. And Verizon works really well in Quartzsite where I camp because I'm away from the crowds. If you are at like La Posa South, a long-term visitor area, it will get super bogged down. So I have been there peak season where I have no cell service and I have to bum, Starlink off of Maddie or Justin. So don't count on having good cell service if you are at a long-term visitor area during peak season, which is like late December, January, even, going into February. But again, I camp away from the crowds on the outskirts of town, so I don't have an issue with cell service. In town, like in Quartzsite, the service is good, but again, if you're at a space where there's just people camping all over, yeah, good luck. It can get really rough. Why is Quartzsite van life friendly? So Quartzsite is van life friendly because there is so much free camping land. Now on the land that I camp, like I said, it's Bureau of Land Management, so it's free 14-day camping. You could really camp there like 6 months out of the year. And I say 6 months because you don't want to be there in the summer. It's like 120 degrees. But it's because you can camp anywhere for free. You just have to be set up for boondocking. So the long-term visitor areas do cost money. It's $180 for 6 months, or it is $40 for 2 weeks. And at the long-term visitor areas, you get vault toilets, dump station, water, and dumpsters. So, but there aren't any showers at the LTVAs in Quartzsite. So, and then if you don't have a black tank, I believe you have to be parked within a certain distance from the vault toilets. So it's not personally my jam, especially because they get so busy and I don't like being around all the people. So, as I got a comment recently on how there's like no one ever around me, and I do that on purpose. I camp away from the crowds, and then when I want to socialize, I go to the long-term visitor area. But that's why it's van life friendly, really, is because it's a transient town. Nobody is judgmental of van lifers. Like, you go to certain places around the country and they're gonna like judge you for like sleeping in a minivan or being a van lifer or whatever it is. Quartzsite welcomes you. It's a community of like-minded individuals, and the free camping land and the sunsets and the weather is what brings people in. It does get, we do get freezing temperatures in the winter. January is typically our coldest month, and temperatures can, get down to freezing sometimes, 35, 34, 33 degrees. I'd say that those temperatures, I mean, they may last a few weeks, but otherwise I'd say a typical night temperature is probably around 40 degrees. On Christmas last year, it was literally 72 and sunny. It was absolutely tremendous. So the free camping land, the weather, the community, that's what really brings van lifers in every single winter. Is Quartzsite easy to find? So if you're literally driving on the I-10 headed toward California, you will run right into Quartzsite. You cannot go into California on the I-10 without going through Quartzsite. It is, like I said, it's a transient town, so it gets a lot of people throughout the year, a lot of semi-trucks, coming and going through the town. Very easy to find. It's right on the I-10, so you really cannot miss it, and you will see all the signs for Quartzsite on your way there. How do I find a place to camp? So Quartzsite is just surrounded by Bureau of Land Management land. So on my channel and on my Quartzsite playlist, I have very helpful videos on how to get to the different BLM locations, like Plimosa Road, High Jolly, Roadrunner, Scat and Wash. So check out my playlist because I have that information on there, and you literally just pull up and you find a spot, and that's it. Very, very easy. Is it handicap accessible or like power chair friendly? Yes. So you can traverse like the Tyson Wells tents in a power chair very easily. You just have to find a spot to park your rig, which can be much more difficult in the winter. It's much easier to park a smaller rig, like my minivan. I can find parking almost anywhere except for during the big tent show. It's nearly impossible. So if you can find a campsite or a parking spot for your rig, you can, take your power chair right into the tents or traverse town. I see a lot of people doing that. In terms of handicap showers, I don't like with a seat. I personally am not sure about that. I shower at the laundromat and they don't have seats in the showers. You might be able to find them at the Arco. There's an Arco travel station, and I know they have really nice showers, and I would bet that they have a handicap accessible shower, but I am not positive. So maybe somebody watching this video can jump in and help us out in the comments and let us know if you know of any good handicap accessible showers in Quartzsite. Do people tent camp? Yes, lots of people tent camp out in Quartzsite. It is very doable. I would say make sure you have really heavy duty stakes and a hammer. My rubber mallet typically doesn't work to drive into the very rocky ground we have out in Quartzsite, but lots of people tent camp, so bring your stakes, bring your tie downs because it does get windy and you don't want your tent blowing away. So, but it is not uncommon. I see lots of people like camping, like car camping with a tent. Um, we Quartzsite has everything and it welcomes everybody. That's something that I love so much about it, is the fact that whether you're in a car, you're in a tent, or you're in a Class A RV and everything in between, you are welcome and you can camp anywhere. So bring your tent, pull up a chair, set up, and you will be good to go. And I think that is it for my list. This video is fairly long, as I kind of anticipated, but I hope that I was able to answer questions that were helpful to you. And if you have information on like the handicap accessibility for showers as well as the receiving mail, please offer those suggestions in the comments. So because I know a lot about Quartzsite, but I don't know everything. So as much as I would like to think I'm an expert on the area, honestly, I'm still learning. I'm always learning because I haven't seen everything. I haven't experienced everything. But I know that, a lot of other people have done what I haven't. So thank you for hanging in there through this entire video. And if you have anything to contribute, I would love to hear it in the comments. Remember to give this video a thumbs up, and if you are new here, subscribe to my channel. Be sure to check out my Quartzsite playlist. I'm sure that it will have something helpful for you on there, and I will see you next time.